Game day coming up. What are we going to be looking for? Well, it's something very specific. You're going to want to find out.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
5-Hour Energy fixes tired fast. With zero sugar and a convenient portable size, it's the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. Go to 5hourenergy.com and use promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid through September 30th on one order and cannot be used with any other promotions. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. Helping us bring in the energy, the one, the only Chase Glasser of Spartans Illustrated. This man is a ball-knowing Bible. Cannot wait to be chatting with him as we are just, let me fan myself off really quick. One day away from game day, Chase. This is big time. So many things to watch out for because there's so many question marks all over the field. And to set the table for this episode, we are going to use the help of Jax, okay? He's a guy that wrote in a mailbag question to us, lockedonspartans@gmail.com or Sheehan_sports on Twitter if you ever want to reach out. What super specifically are you looking forward to the most? He writes, are you most excited for, actually? Not just position group, but position group and ability, just as linebacker pass coverage, offensive line runner pass protection, etc. Chase, my answer is what I'm most excited for, tight end play and tight end usage. It's been a long time coming here for East Lansing, but of course, I'm a difficult person. I just can't answer a question, simply like that. Because there's something else, and it's not something I'm excited for. It's something I'm anxiously awaiting. It's to see how the pass protection is for Michigan State. No shortage of options, but pass protection is going to reign supreme because you're going to want to keep Aidan Chiles healthy this whole year. Don't think I'm overreaching there with that comment.
No.
FAU, with as much as they are, having to replace on offense, their defense is actually in a really good spot. Their front six guys, all returners from last year. And while no one's a first-team All-American on that defense, that's still a high baseline level of defensive play that you will be seeing. So it'll be an adequate test for the pass protection. I just need to see how it looks against a decent, if not good, group of five defense here. That is what I will be anxiously awaiting because the offensive line as a whole, it's a question mark. That's where I'm at, pass protection. Mr. Glasser, I'll let you finally talk today. Where are you at, my man?
Thanks for having me. I think I'll take the incredibly trite answer and then give another answer. Just
do
because,
it. It's fun.
I think number one's got to be Aidan Chiles, just because this is obviously the centerpiece of the offense this year. But also, if you look at the eligibility that he has left and what he brings to the table, he's going to be the centerpiece for Michigan State for the next couple of years, right? And just seeing what he has to offer, and yes, he'll make mistakes, but what kind of mistakes, and is he going to learn from them? And just everything like that. I think that's what I'm the most excited about, just to watch him, because I think he's such an electric athlete, and I think he's so athletic. He can make plays with his arm, with his feet, and I think he just adds a level of dynamic kind of playmaking ability to the offense that we just haven't had in a bit. And I'm just really excited to see what that looks like. Like you said, that's going to be part and parcel with the pass pro, just because I think you look at any sort of national commentary, and we've talked about on this show some of the issues we have with some of the oversights in national commentary, but they all say, Aidan Chiles should be pretty good. Is he going to live till November?
Big question. It's not like they play anyone hard in October. It should be pretty fairly easy schedule. So
right. But it's you look at that and it's okay, well, what is it going to look like? And they brought in some new people. And I think that the folks that they brought in are going to be pretty good. But it's having an offensive line. It's not a video game where you can just plug five guys in. Oh, they're all a 92 overall. We're going to be all right. You have to have that cohesion. You have to have that communication. And I think that you will see an offensive line that's more connected and more cohesive for sure. But you just don't want to wait until your quarterback takes a couple nasty licks to have that happen. And like you pointed out, I don't think FAU's defense is particularly good, but they do know what they're doing and they do return players. And I think you will be able to absolutely get a baseline. So I guess that's my primary answer. And then my secondary answer is I'm interested in the running backs. I think it's a pretty deep room. Nate Carter is somebody who I've been on record for a while liking. I think he's a good little back. Not little, he's big. I think he's a good back. And I think just a lot of this offense, the tight end's going to be critical in the receiving game. Wide receiver, we don't completely know what we have. I mean, we know the players, but it's just you've got a lot of youth. You've got Torrey Foster. Have we really seen him? How much have we seen him really be featured? And we know what we're going to get there. So just that down, and I think they will be fine. But just the down to down, moving the chains, it's going to be critical to see what the running backs can do. So I'm excited to see that as well. And I also think that from a viewing perspective, watching the running back, watching the quarterback, that's going to be maybe a little bit easier to pick up on than the left guard kind of blitz here and then should have passed that off to the H or whatever, so those are two things that I am really excited about, but the whole team, I mean, I'm excited to watch what I think is going to be a new and probably quite successful era here, so I'm pretty pumped.
To go back to the first one, and maybe this is just the chicken little worrier in me, but I don't know. I feel like we've had enough conversations with people that know football, and even a former quarterback himself and Brian Lewerke talking about getting dinged up and everything.
For sure.
When it comes to watching Aidan Chiles, like I love aggression. I love dazzling plays. I love the highlight reel. I also love a guy that a lot of the season relies on sliding. Instead of taking big hits, can he avoid getting absolutely annihilated by a linebacker? So that's something that a young quarterback has to get a little used to, because this goes back a few weeks conversation with Brian Lewerke.
Yeah, definitely.
So, as a young guy, he was lowering his shoulder to everyone. He wanted to roll over everyone. And then, he had to learn the hard way that, I don't feel good after doing that, 6, 7, 8 times per game. So it's going to be a lesson to be learned.
Didn't he get a bone broken in one of his early? I think he broke his leg or something like that. It was just, I agree completely. And a lot of that, part of it's coaching, where Smith's an offensive guy, and it's like, buddy, slide.
Get down.
Or take his back. It's okay. Live to fight another day.
Yeah.
And part of it also is the learning curve will be very rapid. If it doesn't matter if it's a
certainly
FCS linebacker or against Prairie View A&M or somebody who's playing for FAU, there's going to be some fourth-year guy who's played football and he's 23 years old and he's frothing at the mouth to take a lick on a quarterback who wants to lower his shoulder at 18, 19 years old, right? So he will learn quickly. And I mean, with any freshman quarterback or any really first-time starter quarterback, there's totally going to be growing pains and it'll be messy at times, and that's part of the experience, and it's okay. It unless it's really, really bad, like you'd have to kind of like what Dante Moore looked like at UCLA last year, where it's like, okay, clearly they're
volatile.
So this ain't working, right? Like unless it's that bad, I'd be feeling pretty good about it. So I just want to watch him and kind of see the entire team, what they look like cohesively. But there's so much to be excited about.
Now, we're going to talk about, this might be an odd topic, but it's what is something that we know about this Michigan State team. I feel like there's so many question marks about this team that it's worth talking about. Well, let's give the people something that we're pretty confident about going into Friday's game. But Chase, I hate to do this to you. I'm so sorry. I got to send you to the bench because it's time to talk to people's ears off about 5-hour energy. Now, let's say for some reason, you do need a little more energy this Friday. Well, there could be many reasons for that. Let's say you tailgate lawn. Let's say you even golf in the morning. Let's just say it's just a long day leading up to kickoff at 7 p.m. and you're thinking, oh my God, how am I going to get up on third down? Well, guys, 5-hour energy. It has been here pretty much our whole lives. They want to be part of your game day coming up this Friday. With zero sugar and a convenient portable size, it's the perfect pick-me-up and just an excellent item to throw into your pocket and head into Spartan Stadium with. Let's say you get the sleepies at halftime. Well, just go ahead and zip a 5-hour energy. The 5-hour energy website also has flavors galore. We are talking watermelon, tropical burst, grape, berry, and so much more. There is a flavor for everyone. So try them all and stock up for the season. On the site, they have options to build your own 12-pack or 24-pack. You choose the flavors, and it is delivered right to your door. If you go to 5hourenergy.com, that is number 5hourenergy.com. Get some 5-hour energy today and use promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with the other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders, so go to 5hourenergy.com and stock up up for the season. Now let's drag it back on here. It's Chase Glasser of Spartans Illustrated. But first, hey, thanks a lot for making Locked On Spartans your first listen every single day. For your second listen, go on over to Locked On College Football with our guy Spencer McLaughlin, getting you ready for week 1. To continue getting ready for Michigan State's week 1, all we've talked about this offseason is unknowns. What's going to happen? Hey, let's give the people something that we actually do know. Weirdly enough, this might just be actually interesting because of how many question marks we've talked about. But I feel pretty confident that Michigan State will stop the run this weekend. That's because, okay, their linebacking core, pretty strong. I know that we have some questions on the defensive line, but at the end of the day, you got 2 sixth-year senior defensive tackles. You have power 4 level talent on the line, and on the other side there, driving up from Boca Raton, is an offensive line that, yes, does have a pretty good center with 4 brand new starters next to him. You have a running back room that, by and large, is pretty new. I hope I'm not jinxing it right now. I think it's pretty plain to see why I think this. Michigan State, talent alone, and also linebackers being a strength, should be enough to limit what the Owls can do on the ground. Let me knock on wood really quick. That's what I'm most confident with right now. So, Chase, I'll let you dance. Go for it.
Well, something I thought about answering was that the defense was going to look a lot more connected. And I think it plays off of what you say, where you have all 3 levels of the defense working together. And I do agree, particularly in this context, talking about FAU, about the run defense. But my answer is going to be, and I think that this will carry over for the whole kind of the season as a whole, is that I think the offensive approach, just from the 10,000-foot offensive approach, be much more pleasurable to watch. And that does not necessarily mean that the results are going to be a ton better, just because turnovers are going to happen. And there's going to be, you have a new regime, you've got a lot of new players, you've got a new quarterback. It's going to be different. But I do think that you will see a cohesive and a sensible offensive philosophy where you can watch a game and say, okay, that didn't work, but this is going somewhere. And just the little things where you're going to have formation specific plays that set each other up, where, okay, we're going to, and there's a little bit of that in every offense, but I think you're just, in watching Smith and his offense and in watching Oregon State, they had a lot of different concepts that played off of each other. Hey, we're going to run split zone, where you've got that H back crossing the formation and kicking somebody out. Okay, well, then we're going to have him bluff that block and leak out in the flat, and he's going to be a pass option. Then we're going to have him curl around and hit a linebacker, and we're going to run split zone off, or we're going to run arc block off of that, right? Like, there's so many different things that you can do just as an offensive coordinator. And I think that you're going to see just a much more cohesive and collaborative offensive approach. And I think it will certainly pay immediate dividends, and that I think this offense should be certainly functional. But especially down the road, I think it's just, you're going to come away watching this offense from a schematic perspective, and you're going to be encouraged.
That's all I needed to hear. Thank you. Just more iteration that, hey, things are going to be a little better than last year. Not that it's a high bar to jump over, but any little bit helps for our Saturday happiness, or Friday in this case. Carter writes in the mailbag as we go to a little bit of an FAU preview. We've been talking about the Owls up and down throughout this week. We actually talked to the guy from Boca Raton, Frank Fort. I encourage anyone to go listen to that episode. He gave a great inside scoop on the Owls. But Carter writes in, a lot of people are calling this an easy win for Michigan State, but Tom Herman is no pushover of a coach. How do you think MSU will fare against a squad with a coach that can cause some problems? So you've dove in a little bit, Spartans Illustrated, to FAU. Like, what do you see? Do you think that there is going to be a heightened sense of upsetness on Friday? Because right now, I think, look, I worry with the best of them.
Sure.
I feel pretty hold on. Feel pretty confident about this game right now, just because of how much they have to replace on offense.
Yeah.
But is Tom Herman the kind of coach that, like, even if he does have to replace 9 guys on that unit, can still churn over productivity there?
Yeah, it's a good question. And we do have a piece up at Spartans Illustrated right now where I went back and looked at the Illinois and Clemson games that FAU played last year and kind of compared, contrasted what we saw there. And he Carter's right. I mean, Tom Herman is a good coach. He can certainly draw it up with the best of them. He was offensive guy at Ohio State, and then he certainly did some good work there. Had some really strong Houston teams, and never quite got over the hump at Texas, but had some solid teams there as well. And there's no question that he's a fine offensive mind, for sure. But I don't think he has players. And, at some point I'm watching them play Clemson, and it's like they have some decent stuff drawn up. But if your quarterback is getting eaten alive on every play, it just doesn't matter. Yeah. Right. And, Michigan State's not where Clemson is talent wise, but they're better than you.
Right.
And it's just, I think that FAU will do some work for sure. They may score 20 points, but it may be a very kind of unsatisfying 20 for them, where it kind of like I think it was the Western Michigan game a couple years ago, where it was like, yeah, it's 20-7 or something in the second quarter, and it looks kind of close, but it's pretty clear watching the game that Michigan State's doing okay. And then you have late in the game, it kind of stagnates, and then maybe they break a big play and it's like 31-14 or something like that. But I don't think they may remain in contact where it looks, hey, 35-17, that's not bad. But if you watch the game on a down-to-down basis, Michigan State is winning, pretty decisively every play. I don't see them having the horses to hang with Michigan State. I've looked at it in a lot of different ways. Unless my caveat to this is if Aidan Chiles comes out kind of like the Rutgers game in 2020, where it's like,
oh yeah, great
just
time.
Like a ton of turnovers, right? Like there was like 4 interceptions and a lost fumble. It's like, yeah, okay, if that happens, all bets are off.
Not beating anyone. Yeah, right.
Yeah, you're not beating anybody. So and also you can't predict that. You know what I mean? It's just you can't. That's a variance play, and you really can't say, oh yeah, I'm going to prognosticate that that's going to happen. So I mean, I think you treat FAU with respect, and you realize, okay, they're gonna hit some chunk plays. Probably they're going to be able to manufacture some stuff. They might have one kind of camp drive in them. But also, I mean, have some solace in the fact that I think Joe Rossi knows what he's doing. And even if he doesn't totally have all his guys in yet, I think he's going to be able to make adjustments and do fine. So, it's might be maybe a touch tighter than some people would expect or want. I don't necessarily predict that, but I struggle to find a reason to be worried about this particular opponent.
Yeah, and if you're a sick person, like you want something else to worry about, maybe that oddly helps you. Like the quarterback did come over with this top pass catcher from Marshall last year. The name is escaping me. I'm sorry, I didn't have that in my notes. But so like he has chemistry built in with at least one receiver right now. But outside of him, like even Frank Force said this the other day, like it's going to be 6 or 7 guys that are going to be getting some serious time at wide receiver. I don't know if that's because like they're all that good or they're still looking for their guys. But nevertheless, the talent should win out on the field here. Like Michigan State is Michigan State and they're Florida Atlantic. So and while Tom Herman is a good coach, we didn't bring Jonathan Smith and Joe Rossi over here to just kind of hang out and go to the Riv every once in a while. Like they can coach too. So, well, yes, I know I'm going to wake up Friday with a pit in my stomach wondering, oh my God, they could lose this game. But like, I know right now, as these are some of the final moments of the season where I'm like mentally sane right now.
Yes. Right. Correct.
I know it should be that like 2 touchdown victory that the sports books and many analytics are predicting right now.
For sure. I mean, if there's not a turnover fest and Michigan State just goes out straight up and loses this game, I would be kind of radically revising down my kind of immediate trajectory for where I think this thing is going. Not because I think, oh, Smith isn't a good coach or anything, but it just means, okay, we got a lot of work to do. I just don't think that's going to happen. I mean, you and I were talking before we get on here. If they could be 4-0 going into October, and I wouldn't be surprised. They could be 2-2, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Right.
There's just so many questions. But there's really very few scenarios where I get really concerned about this one. Which I mean, hey, go out and enjoy it. It should be a great night on Friday, and
I'll try.
And I love the Friday night game. I think
it's the best. It's the best.
Everybody on campus, you get the sunset. It's so cool. So I get excited for it because we've waited a long time for football season, and here we go. Right?
Get to just coast to the rest of your Labor Day plans. You get to enjoy the Saturday, Sunday, Monday slate of games without like any nervousness. It's like batting first on March Madness, getting that noon Thursday game. You just
Right.
get it out of the way, and now you can just actually enjoy a weekend.
Absolutely.
It's crazy thoughts. So no, love it. Also love talking with you, Chase. Folks, we are going to be back here in a hot second because, oh, that's right, we're going to try to win some people some money this year with some picks and a mailbag question or two. Be right back. Best bets are to come. And yes, we are going to make those best bets with America's #1 sportsbook. We are talking about FanDuel. Guys, they are always making football season spectacular, whether it's their lines, whether it's their props, whether it's their parlays, round robins, any way you want to bet it, you can do it at FanDuel. If you haven't looked at the line on Friday yet, well, Michigan State 13.5-point favorites right now. We're going to get into first-time touchdown scorer props here in the third segment. Don't want to spoil it just yet. Come on now. But guys, hey, FanDuel is making this football season even sweeter because they have a little something different for everyone. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you could cancel at any time. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sportsbook. Also, guys, fuel up for the season with Factor Foods. Fuel up with no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. You can heat these things up in a commercial break, guys. It cannot get better than that on game day. So no matter how busy you are, you will always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you will always find new flavors to explore. Crush your wellness goals this September with dietitian-approved meals and ingredients that you can trust. It's effortless. It's quick. Factor is here to make life easy for you. So head to factormeals.com/lockedoncollege50 and use code lockedoncollege50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code lockedoncollege50 at factormeals.com/lockedoncollege50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. All right, let's go swimming in the best bets. That is right, guys. This segment is back. Now, we're doing it a day early for this week. Typically, throughout the season, we will be dropping best bets on the Friday episode. But since this week's slate is loaded with Thursday games, Friday games, we're going to do it one day early. So, batting first, of course, is the Michigan State game. And, oh boy, here I am. I'm going to cut against the grain of our brilliant quarterback. Now, hey, last week, he said, if you're a betting person, we are, take the over. Now, was he talking about the game specifically? Was he talking about Michigan State's over-under for wins set at just 4.5? The crowd is kind of split on that. Nevertheless, we are actually going to shoot the under in this game. We're not going to take the spread either way, but under 45.5 is what we are liking. Now, with the spread and the point total, FanDuel is, kind of projecting this game to be a Michigan State 30, Florida Atlantic 16 win. Can Michigan State do their end of that? Can they make 30 points? They can. Might be a little tricky. Again, guys, this is a new system for this offense. Yes, you're bringing the quarterback and his tight end over, but still, this is the first game with new chemistry. And the offensive line, by and large, still a little bit too high of a question mark right now to truly think that they could just guarantee get 40 points. What I'm more concerned about is on the other sideline, that's an offense breaking in 9 new players. Okay, Tom Herman, fantastic coach. We just talked about it earlier with Chase, right? But man, that's asking a lot on the road against a Power 4 team for Florida Atlantic to just hit the ground running that well. Right now, what both teams have going for them the most is their defense. So we're going to go ahead and bet that under 45.5 mark right now. For Thursday, that's right, we are going to pluck away one of these Thursday games right now. Colorado, the Buffs, the Fighting Deion Sanderses against North Dakota State. The entire world is betting on Colorado. They are one of the most bet teams for week 1. So what do? When the world zigs, we zag. We're going to go with North Dakota State plus 9.5. Also, I just like the way they play. Football over at NDSU, that is some tough physical football. Maybe that will cut against the grain of the finesse football that you have been seeing from Colorado here under Deion Sanders. LSU -4.5. I'm sorry to bet against our Big Ten brethren in USC, but I like the Tigers. -4.5 against USC. That'll be a fantastic game on Sunday. Now, why LSU above anything else? Love their offensive line. 4 returners from last year. I know both schools are breaking in new quarterbacks. They are replacing former Heisman winners, but don't look at the passing game. Sure, it might get going early for LSU. It'll be fine in the end, but I think their run game will start the season strong and power the Tigers to a victory. We're going to go with Miami, -2.5. They got one of the best, if not the best, quarterback transfers this offseason in Cam Ward, I should say. It's going to be a tough game in the swamp. Let's not get it twisted, but do you know what travels even in tough road environments? It's defense. The sheer amount of talent Miami has on that defense should be enough for them to win, even against a good Florida team in a really tough environment. And then last but not least, hey, we're going to get an early look at the Boston College Golden Eagles. We're going to go over 50.5 in this Boston College versus Florida State game to end the week. Guys, that is a $5 bet to win $113.35 if you want to parlay that over at FanDuel. So really quick, let's do that again. Under 45.5 for MSU FAU. We're going to take North Dakota State plus 9.5 against Colorado. LSU -4.5 against USC. Miami -2.5 against Florida, and then over 50.5 to end week 1, Boston College versus Florida State. Now, a few mailbag questions to get to before we get you on your merry way and just get one step closer to kickoff. I can't wait. Logan writes in, how would you feel about MSU wearing all blacks and white gruff helmet for the first game? Also adds that he's a daily listener of the show, so thank you very much, Logan. Much appreciated there. And guys, I got to say, I'm not just pandering to Logan because he had some nice words to say about the show, but I think he's cooking with something. You know, like the All Blacks on their own, like they look sharp. They look sleek. Like, throw any good adjective you want on that. Like, I do like the All Black jerseys, but if you want to make any alterations to it, maybe it's not, you know, that green helmet on top of the black jerseys. I actually think black pants, black jerseys, and the white gruff helmet. I think we're cooking there, Logan. I do like that. I would not be opposed. And time we're recording right now, we don't know what the jerseys are. I would not be opposed for Michigan State to trot out the black jerseys immediately. Let's all get the taste of whatever happened the last time in the black jerseys out of our mouths. And hey, let's just start a new chapter and make this era about the black jerseys. Let's just try to scrub whatever had happened in the past with those things on. So yes, let's get black jerseys in the mix here for these night games. Big Cat Boo, I think I'm saying that right. Big Cat Boo writes in, who is the first Spartan to score a touchdown? However, you cannot pick Nate Carter. Now, Nate Carter right now on FanDuel, he is the favorite to have the first touchdown in this game, plus 400, meaning if you bet $10, you're going to win $40 if he crosses that goal line first. Right behind him, Aidan Chiles plus 750, Jack Velling plus 750, and then K'Ron Lynch Adams plus 800. You could also get a few other more guys out there. Nick Marsh is 11-1, but you can go find them for yourselves over at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. But who am I going to go with? For me, we will be financially staked in Jack Velling. Hey, guy scored 8 touchdowns as a tight end last year. Who's going to be maybe his top target early on this season as he's building chemistry with receivers, just kind of, dipping his toes into the season? As a young quarterback, sometimes your favorite target, well, is the biggest one that's closest to you. It's a nice little security blanket, and that guy's name is Jack Velling. So, $10 bet, should Jack Velling score the first touchdown of the season, that will net you $75. So, yes, I do love the value on that. Hey, you don't believe me? Well, again, FanDuel, guys. Let's all get rich in our own ways this Friday night. Now, RBK writes in, this is what we will end on. Now, this is important because now we're starting to plan for our Friday afternoon festivities here. What are your top 3 Friday night on-campus tailgating beverages and worst 3? Now, the top 3, When you close your eyes, it's nice, high 80-degree day. Let's get the rain out of the forecast that keeps on popping up. No one likes to see that, but you know what? We're going to start slow. I know we're excited. I know we want to start shotgunning everything that's handed to us immediately, but for that first hour or two of the tailgate, just coast with like a nice tropical or fruit-based IPA, perhaps a Pogalicious IPA from Atwater Brewery, just one or two of those in the first hour, get to a good cruising altitude, and then, we get settled in the cockpit here. We are going to start just cutting through some Miller Lights, some that goes down a little easier. Now, for the third drink, my off-the-record answer, that'd be Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey, but my on-the-record responsible answer is going to be a Gatorade or a water. Like, that's nice to mix in before you go into the stadium, especially before they pop you for $13 per Gatorade or water or whatever they're charging at stadiums these days. Now, the bottom three, man, I got to say, this brought me back to a memory. I was lucky enough to go to that Miami game in Coral Gables. It was hotter than hell for that game. You could feel the heat when you stepped out of the car. And guys, when I stepped out of the car under that blistering sun, who did I see next to me? But like a, nice lady in her late 20s, early 30s, just could not have been more than 90 pounds. And just to paint a picture of how jarring this was to see, just pounding a Guinness under the hot Florida sun. They're like the last drink I expected to see in her hand, and I almost just had my stomach churn right there. So I gotta say, Guinness is got to be a bottom three drink to have on a hot tailgate. If you want to, throw a few back in November, a little heavier beer for that weather, my goodness, by all means, go for that. My second worst drink would be whole milk, not too far behind Guinness. And then the third worst drink you could possibly have, guys, I could drink any beer under the sun. Except Guinness, like I just clearly stated. But, man, do you know what never sounds good, even in cold weather? Is a Milwaukee's Best. I could do any beer except that one, so that's got to be my bottom three. But no matter what you choose for the tailgate, whether there's something fun in there or whether there's not, guys, drink responsibly. Let's be moderate. Let's be healthy because we all want to make it to kickoff here. That's the name of the game. They need you on third downs in Spartan Stadium. All right, guys, we will be back tomorrow. Cannot wait. Been looking forward to this show. God, for the last few months, we get to actually talk about the game. My final thoughts before kickoff. Oh, I'm going to get emotional. Let's go. Love you all. Go Green.